Have you ever walked into your own home and felt heavy for no obvious reason? Have you ever wondered if the real darkness you need to cleanse is not in the room, but in the habits of the mind? Welcome back to the channel, my friend. Today we are talking about home cleansing, protection, and prayer, but not in the way people usually talk about it. Many people treat a cleansing prayer like a quick fix, like a spray bottle for bad vibes. And then they are confused when the same arguments return, the same anxiety returns, the same exhaustion returns. The deeper point is that a prayer for cleansing can be powerful, but its power is not only in the words. Its power is in the awakening it creates, the intention it sharpens, the compassion it invites, and the cause and effect it sets into motion. Because when you cleanse a home with sincerity, you are also cleansing the way you live inside that home. And the way you live becomes your destiny. Let me tell you a story, because the best way to understand cleansing is to watch what changes in a person who takes it seriously. Nina had a small apartment that looked normal to visitors. The floors were fine. The furniture was fine. The lights worked. Nothing screamed crisis. But when she closed the door behind her at night, she felt a weight. It was not always dramatic. It was a dull pressure that made her shoulders rise, a tightness in the chest that made her breathe shallow, a restless mind that could not settle even when the room was quiet. She tried to ignore it. She told herself it was just stress. Work had been demanding. Family issues were ongoing. Money was tight. She was scrolling too much, sleeping too little, and carrying too many unfinished conversations in her body. All of that was true, but the feeling did not go away, and it began to attach itself to the space. She started saying things like, "This place feels off." When she said it out loud, she felt embarrassed. She did not want to sound superstitious. She did not want to admit she felt afraid in her own home, but she could not deny what her nervous system was telling her. There were nights she would turn on a show just to fill the silence, not because she enjoyed it, but because silence felt too honest. There were mornings she would rush out without looking back, relieved to escape her own living room. And the more she treated her home like something to endure, the more the home began to feel like a container for tension. Here is a truth people rarely say clearly. A home is not only walls. A home is a memory field. Every argument leaves a trace. Every anxious night leaves a trace. Every lie you tell yourself leaves a trace. Every time you avoid cleaning because you are overwhelmed leaves a trace. Over time, those traces build an atmosphere. This is not about ghosts. This is about cause and effect. One weekend Nina visited her grandmother. Her grandmother lived in a place that was older and smaller, but it felt lighter. The air felt calmer. Even the quiet felt friendly. Nina sat at the kitchen table and noticed her breath slowing down without effort. Her grandmother watched her for a while and said, "Your eyes look tired." Nina tried to laugh it off. She said she was fine. Her grandmother did not argue. She just asked, "How does your home feel these days?" Nina hesitated, then admitted it. "Heavy, restless, like I cannot relax." Her grandmother nodded, not shocked at all. Then she said something simple. "When the heart is crowded, the home becomes crowded. You need to cleanse both." Nina asked how. Her grandmother did not start with complicated ritual. She started with truth. She said, "First you clean what you can see. Then you cleanse what you cannot see. Both are necessary." Nina expected a dramatic instruction. Instead, her grandmother told her to do three ordinary things. Open the windows for fresh air, not forever, just enough to change the breath of the space. Remove obvious clutter, Not perfectly, just sincerely. Anything that feels like a pile of unfinished decisions. Then stand in the center of the home and pray with clear intention. Not with fear, not with rage, not as a demand, but as an offering of light. Nina felt uncertain. She asked, "Is prayer really enough?" Her grandmother said, "Words without intention are weak. Intention without action is incomplete. But prayer with sincerity and action is powerful because it changes you. And when you change, what lives in your home changes." That sentence stayed in Nina like a seed. She went back to her apartment that evening undecided to try. She did not feel holy. She did not feel special. She simply felt tired of living in a space that made her tense. She opened the windows. Cold air came in. The sound of the street came in. It felt strange at first, like the apartment was being exposed. Then it felt relieving, like the room could finally breathe. She cleaned a corner she had been avoiding. Old mail, random bags, half-used items. It was not just mess. It was delayed life. It was proof that she had been surviving, not living. As she cleaned, she noticed something. Her mind resisted. It said, "This will not help. This is pointless. You will never feel better. You will never catch up." Nina paused and realized the real darkness was not an entity in the room. The real darkness was the voice that kept her hopeless. So she did something small but brave. She did not fight the voice with aggression. She did not pretend it was not there. She responded with compassion. She said quietly, "I hear you, but I am choosing a different way." Then she finished cleaning that corner. One corner became two. Two became three. Not a frantic makeover. A steady return to order. Order is not perfection. Order is clarity. After she cleaned enough to feel the floor of her own space again, she stood in the center of the room. Her heart was pounding like she was about to do something dangerous. That surprised her. Why would prayer feel dangerous? Because prayer is honesty. Prayer forces you to admit you cannot control everything. Prayer asks you to surrender the illusion that you can fix your life with willpower alone. Prayer makes you face what you have been avoiding. Nina folded her hands, then unfolded them. She did not know what to do with her body. She felt awkward. She almost stopped. Then she remembered what her grandmother said. Intention matters. So Nina spoke from the simplest place. She asked for cleansing. She asked for protection. She asked for peace to fill the room. She asked for anything harmful to leave. She asked for her mind to become clear. She asked for her heart to soften. She asked to become wise enough to stop feeding what harms her. She did not recite a perfect script. She did not perform. She just meant it. As she spoke, she noticed tears, not dramatic sobbing, a quiet release, the kind of release that happens when you finally admit you have been carrying fear alone. When she finished, she stood still for a moment and listened. The apartment sounded the same, but it felt different, not because a miracle event happened, but because her nervous system had shifted. She had turned toward light instead of away from it. And that turn is the first step in any cleansing. That night she slept better, not perfect, but better. The next day she woke up and noticed the room felt less hostile. Then life tested her. Because cleansing is not a one-time spell. Cleansing is a practice. If you cleanse today and then live in the same habits tomorrow, the same atmosphere rebuilds. 2 days later, Nina had a stressful call with her boss. Her chest tightened. Old anxiety rose. She came home irritated and wanted to collapse into scrolling and junk food. The old routine that numbed her but kept her stuck. She stopped at the doorway and remembered the prayer. Not the words, the intention. She asked herself, What am I bringing into this home right now? That question changed her behavior. She took a breath. She washed her hands slowly, like resetting. She drank water. She sat for a moment in silence before turning on any noise. This is where the real protection begins. Protection is not only a shield against external darkness. Protection is a commitment to not bring chaos into your own space when you are triggered. Nina began doing a small ritual each day. Not dramatic. A simple check-in. She would open a window for a minute. She would tidy one small area. She would speak a short prayer asking for peace and clarity. She would ask for the strength to respond with wisdom in her relationships. She noticed something else. The more she prayed for cleansing, the more she became aware of what polluted her mind. Certain shows left her anxious. Certain conversations left her bitter. Certain social media feeds made her compare herself and hate her own life. Certain friendships were built on gossip, and gossip left her feeling dirty inside. This is a form of awakening. You begin to see the causes of your inner atmosphere. So she started making changes. She unfollowed accounts that fed envy. She limited doom scrolling at night. She stopped inviting certain people into her home who always left conflict behind. She set boundaries. She said no when her body said no. Some people think boundaries are unspirited, but boundaries are often compassion in action. Boundaries protect peace, so peace can grow. Now let us talk about the idea of darkness. Because a cleansing prayer often uses strong language. People say evil. People say darkness. People say destroy what is harmful. If you take those words literally in a scary way, you can end up paranoid. Paranoia is not wisdom. Paranoia is another prison. A wiser approach is to recognize that darkness can describe many things. Darkness can be addiction. It can be bitterness. It can be unresolved trauma. It can be constant conflict. It can be deception. It can be self-hatred. It can be despair. It can be the habit of bringing anger into every room. If you pray to cleanse darkness, you are praying to cleanse those patterns. And cleansing patterns requires practice. So Nina began reading her home like a training space for compassion. When she felt irritated, she practiced speaking gently. When she felt lonely, she practiced reaching out to one safe friend rather than numbing out. When she felt shame, she practiced honesty rather than hiding. When she made a mistake, she apologized quickly. When she felt resentment, she practiced forgiveness, not as pretending harm did not happen, but as refusing to keep drinking poison. Forgiveness is a cleansing prayer you live. A month later, her grandmother visited. Nina expected her grandmother to say the apartment felt better. Instead, her grandmother looked at Nina and said, "Your face looks calmer." That was the real proof. The home cleansing had cleansed the resident. Now let me tell you another layer of the story. There is a reason many people want a cleansing prayer. They feel attacked, not always by something external, but by their own thoughts. The mind can be a harsh place. A mind filled with fear can make any home feel unsafe. A mind filled with guilt can make the quiet feel threatening. A mind filled with anger can make every sound feel like an insult. So prayer can be a way to step out of the mind storm and return to something steadier. When you pray, you remember you are not the thoughts. You are the witness. You are the one who can choose what to feed. That is spiritual freedom. In terms of cause and effect, think of your home like a garden. If you water weeds, weeds grow. If you water flowers, flowers grow. The prayer is like choosing what you will water. The cleaning is like pulling weeds. The boundaries are like a fence. The kindness is like sunlight. The honesty is like healthy soil. Money cannot buy that. A bigger house cannot buy that. Only practice builds that. Now let me speak to you directly. If you want to do a cleansing prayer for your home, do it in a way that builds wisdom instead of fear. Begin with physical order. Clean what you can. Open windows. Let light in. Change sheets. Wash dishes. These actions are not separate from spirituality. They are the foundation. A clear space supports a clear mind. Then set intention. Stand in your home and speak a sincere prayer asking for peace, protection, and clarity. Ask for harmful influences to leave, including harmful habits inside you. Ask for compassion to grow in the way you speak. Ask for patience in conflict. Ask for wisdom in decisions. Then do the most important part. Live the prayer. If you pray for peace and then you bring constant drama, the prayer becomes words without roots. If you pray for cleansing and then you keep feeding bitterness, the cleansing reverses. If you pray for protection and then you allow toxic inputs to dominate your attention, the protection weakens. But if you pray and practice, you will notice change. Not always instant, not always dramatic, but real. Now let me share something I have seen in many people. Some people do a cleansing prayer when they feel a crisis. It helps for a day. Then the old patterns return, and they think prayer failed. But prayer did not fail. The practice stopped. Other people treat cleansing as a rhythm. They keep the home clean enough. They speak blessings over the space. They refuse to let anger live there. They apologize quickly. They forgive. They put away distractions at night. They create a small, quiet corner for stillness. Over time, their home becomes a refuge. And that refuge becomes a source of strength for everything else in life. This is why cleansing a home can change your money situation, your relationships, your health, your sleep, your mood. Not because prayer is a transaction, but because order and peace create capacity. Capacity creates better choices. Better choices create better outcomes. This is karma in everyday clothes. And the deepest part is compassion. When you cleanse a home, do not do it with hatred toward yourself. Do not treat yourself like the problem that must be destroyed. Treat yourself like a person learning. Speak protection over your own mind. Speak kindness over your own nervous system. Speak patience over your own growth. A peaceful home begins with a gentle heart. Now we are coming to the end, and I want to leave you with a simple image. Imagine your home is like a lamp. If the glass is covered in dust, the light looks weak. You can blame the bulb, but the real issue is the covering. Cleaning the glass does not create new electricity. It allows what was already there to shine. A cleansing prayer can be like cleaning the glass. It removes some of the fog. It reminds you to stop feeding darkness. It invites you back to light. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If you have ever done a home cleansing prayer, share what changed for you in the comments. Did your sleep improve? Did your mood improve? Did your relationships soften? Did you feel more protected because you became more awake? If you want to support the channel, subscribe, like, and leave a comment so more people can find these talks about wisdom, cause and effect, compassion, and the practice of building peace at home. And if you want to go deeper with us, consider becoming a member so we can keep creating content that helps you stay clear and steady. Until next time, keep your space clean, keep your mind compassionate, keep your intention strong, and remember that the greatest cleansing is the one that makes you kinder.